All right, we are live. Hey, welcome everybody to the Seahawk Boys first 2023
First 2023. Yeah.
First 2023 NFL mock draft. I'm
Right.
Seahawk Boy Mike. That's my brother, Seahawk Boy Dave.
That's me, Dave.
We have some weird effects going on here with the background, but that's okay. We can live with that because it's just a stream and everybody has these same problems.
That's right.
Actually, you look better than me, which is because you're closer to the camera. So
Okay.
you also look bigger than me, but you're not. Well, you are bigger than me,
but I'm not that much bigger.
That much. You're not,
right, yeah.
You're not 10, 15% bigger than
yeah,
me.
I mean, my face is looks pretty wide.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share the screen here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna show you guys different screens. We're gonna show you like the NFL mock draft simulator screen we're gonna work from. We're also going to select other tabs. And like we have a mock draft simulator screen. We have the Rob Staten big board, which we both like Rob and his analysis and what he knows. And then we're also going to share the NFL consensus big board. This is a great board created by what's his name, Jack somebody, who created like all these top prospects. And actually we're going to show the top 200 prospects here, even though we're only going to be picking from the top 50 or so. So we're going to do a 2-round mock draft. And we're not showing that. Share this tab instead. We're going to do a 2-round mock draft, and we're going to be looking at all these players. And actually, how it's going to work is that I'm going to get the first pick. So
Mike's going to get the first pick this year because I think I had it last year. I won the flip. So this year we're just going to flip the flip and let Mike go first, and I'll go. I'll pick the even numbers.
So that means I get to pick for the Seahawks at number 5. It ought to be pretty interesting. Now we're going to try to go with.
I get number 20.
With what we're going to try to go with what we think teams are going to do.
Yeah.
Based on the latest news. Well, Houston Texans. Word is they're not going to let Will Anderson past them, even though they need a quarterback. So we shall see what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all because we're going to be making picks for all the teams. We're going to go 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to hit let's draft. And I have the first pick with the Carolina Panthers. Look, there's no question about this. Word has gotten around now that everybody says that Bryce Young, the quarterback from Alabama, is going to be the first overall pick. He's 5'10", 204. Now, that's kind of an alarm bell, but it's Russell Wilson's size, and Russell Wilson's had tremendous success. He has natural talent, incredibly strong arm. People have referred to him as a mini Patrick Mahomes. And apparently the word is Carolina has zeroed in on Bryce Young as the first overall pick. So he is going to go first. Now, Dave, you are up with the Houston Texans. You have a lot of picks in this draft.
I do have a lot of picks.
So you can take chances on guys. So who are you going to take number 2? And do you need to look over at the NFL consensus big board?
I don't.
This is it right here.
I don't.
You know what you're going to be taking.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the Texans. I think one of the things that's happening with the Texans is they do have a number of picks, early picks, and I think that do they have a second rounder as well?
Well, let's take a look. I think they have they have 65 is the first pick in the third round. So effectively it's a second round pick, but they have
got a lot of picks.
2 firsts, a second, 2 thirds, a fourth, 2 fifths, that kind of thing. They got a lot of picks.
Yeah, they got a lot of picks. I think the thing is there are lots of rumors, and this may not happen until draft day, which is, or maybe even the day after the draft, the first day of the draft, maybe a week from now on Friday, this may happen. But I think there's some talk that they're going to maybe move one of their second round picks to try to get Trey Lance, who was the 3rd overall pick by the 49ers 2 years ago, which was not a good pick. But the same owner, the same GM is now in Houston. That was in San Francisco.
Yeah, and the when they pick Trey Lance, and it makes a certain amount of sense because they need a young quarterback. But there's also a guy here right now that is the consensus first overall pick on the board.
Yeah.
The best pick in the draft last year was the number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson, that the Detroit Lions got.
Yeah.
And and the 49ers want to acquire draft picks so they can go out and get Aaron Rodgers because the Jets have completely stalled on getting Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not nailed
the Packers. Down.
So, given all that, I think the Texans are clearly going to take the best player on the draft on their board, and I think that is Will Anderson Jr., the edge rusher from Alabama. Yeah, I think that's kind of at this point the way we're leaning. That's almost a no-brainer.
I can't really complain about that draft pick. I think that assures that one of the top 4 quarterbacks is going to make it to the Seahawks spot. So now the question becomes is what exactly are the Arizona Cardinals going to do? They can't take a quarterback. They also might not be able to trade out. So there is actually a lot of information to the effect that the Cardinals are going to take a defensive player here. So, I don't know if we want to model trades. I think if this scenario happens, somebody could come up and get C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. And the consensus on that somebody would be maybe the Houston Texans, maybe the Atlanta Falcons.
That's the Titans, by the way.
Tennessee Titans. Yes. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody else is too far back.
Or possibly the Raiders.
And possibly the Raiders, but they just got Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think they're set with for the next couple of years. So I can see the Raiders taking a quarterback later in the draft, but not right now. So what's going to happen here? Well, let's see if we can model a reasonable trade between the Tennessee Titans, and we're going to propose a trade here between the Tennessee Titans and the Arizona Cardinals, and see if we can make something work. We're going to give it a stab. Oh, sorry. Cardinals trade with Titans. Okay.
Now, let me just say, I think the Titans, if there's somebody that's got an equal offer or close to the same offer, I think that 11's pretty far to drop back from 3.
Yeah.
Even if you're looking for multiple players.
Yeah.
So I do think that possibly the Raiders are more likely at number 7. But
let's try it. This is all we're going to do. We're not going to give up any more than this. If we're Tennessee, we're going to give up 11 and 41 in this draft. We're going to give up our first in 2024, and we're going to give up our third in 2024.
We're not giving up a lot of stuff.
We're not going to give up any more than that. So we're going to propose the trade, see what the Cardinals do, and they have declined the trade. Okay, so we're going to go back to the sim, and they're going to jump to Tyree Wilson, the consensus number 2 edge guy. They need pass rushers. A lot of people like Tyree Wilson, so they're going to take him.
Wow.
Indianapolis Colts are now up on the board at number 4. I don't think they expected C.J. Stroud to be here, and we know that there's a quarterback that they really like.
Yeah, there are quarterbacks they really like. I think they do like Anthony Richardson. I do think they like Will Levis, but I also think they like C.J. Stroud. So having said that, I don't think they're going to take C.J. Stroud. I think the consensus pretty much now is that they're zeroed in on Will Levis as their guy. And I think probably that is the choice that they're going to make. Is number 4 is Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky.
Yeah, they have a pretty straight up draft class, and I do think that Levis would be the pick. Although Stroud throws it into a really a mess there for them. The fact that Stroud slid. I don't know that I'd buy that. I don't know that I think the Colts would take Levis over Stroud, but that is the hard rumor. Yeah. And the hard rumor is based on they're going to take Levis because Levis is there, and Stroud's not expected to be there. But there is a scenario where somebody would trade up to take obviously C.J. Stroud. The Cardinals couldn't get it done, so they got stuck taking the best defensive player, which is what they really need.
Right.
And they're not going to take Jalen Carter. So here's what I think. I think I don't think this is going to happen, but if C.J. Stroud falls to me at number 5 and I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I'm taking C.J. Stroud. It's not even going to take me 30 seconds to get that card in. Now, of course, being the Seahawks, they're going to want to use their full 10 minutes, get their publicity, of course, during the Seahawks pick, NFL Network and ESPN will both go to commercial. So we're in a commercial right now.
Right.
As I'm on the board,
the first commercial break of the day
will be with the Seahawks pick because they always take commercial breaks
right before this because no one cares about the Seahawks
when the Seahawks come up.
That's the way they act.
But here's the thing: the reason why the Seahawks need to take a quarterback with this pick, assuming one of the top 4 is there, is because of the fact that they don't have a quarterback.
Yep.
For the next 3 years, they have Geno Smith. Now, people say I hate Geno. I don't hate Geno. Geno amazed me with how he played last year, but you have to keep some things in mind and in context. Number 1, second weakest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
He played against a lot of terrible defenses, and he did very well, far better than any version of Geno Smith has ever done against those terrible defenses. But they are not going to face a schedule that easy this year.
Right.
You add to the fact that there is no quarterback over the age of 30 who had his career year over the age of 30 that has ever repeated that level of success.
Exactly
Corbin Smith don't give me any of this Rich Gannon bullshit. Rich Gannon had a couple of above average years where he went to the Pro Bowl because there simply weren't any good AFC quarterbacks that weren't named Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Yeah, so there was a third spot.
And I think Dave Craig was retired.
And he played for the Raiders.
Yes.
And John Gruden. Yes. So he got a lot of publicity.
Yes, he did.
Which also pushed him through to winning the MVP in 2002, which was ridiculous. I mean, seriously, he's a better player than Tom Brady or Peyton Manning in any given year. Bullshit. That was a joke MVP, but there's no question 2002 was Gannon's best year. You can also go to guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, career year over the age of 30. Vinny Testaverde never repeated it. It simply doesn't happen. So the odds are Geno is never going to play this well again. So you have to get the quarterback when you have the chance. Luckily, there are 4 quarterbacks with elite traits in this draft, staring the Seahawks right in the face. It's been 10 minutes. I'm not even going to, I mean, if I'm the owner, I'm not wasting 2 seconds. I'm taking CJ Stroud off the board right here. He's my QB2 for this season and my QB1 next year. The other thing too is as I said, I don't even want to bring Geno back unless they can sign him to a really cap-friendly contract, which is exactly what they did. I mean, his cap number is like $10 million this year, which is amazing. That's exactly what I wanted them to do. So you got to give them some credit for that. All right, Detroit Lions are now on the board. They're an interesting situation because today 2 of their wide receivers just got suspended, but there are
2 other players.
But they really need defense. They could use somebody like Jalen Carter to maybe put next to Aiden Hutchinson if they weren't worried about the character issues. But there are also other guys, and I'm not going to give you any hints, that are consensus top 5-10 players that could really bolster their defense here. And they have a second first-round pick at 18.
They do,
where they could get a wide receiver. So I'm just going to leave it to you to decide what you're going to do for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to give you any hints. I'm not going to give you any hints about what you should do. I'm not going to give you any hints at all about who you should take. And
you can only see what he's telling you.
Yeah.
So they need a lot of help. They had several wide receivers injured implicated in this
gambling. It's a gambling thing. And is it a shock? Is it a shock that the NFL finally puts a team in Vegas, which they've avoided like the plague because of the gambling? And guess what? All their players now are getting caught gambling. They've made arrangements with these gambling companies. They've gone into business with them, and now their players are getting caught cheating.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, one guy talked about how what he had done was he was actually at the facility, the Lions facility, and they were just joking around in the locker room, and that's when he made the bet. Was betting on another. I think it was a college football game. It's ridiculous. So, do they need help? Yes, they do. How can they get better? They're gonna have to draft good defensive players, and I think probably their top defensive player that they want to draft is a guy who's a hard hitter, a guy who's going to have a big impact, and a guy who's going to maybe leave a few receivers writhing on the ground in pain and confusion, and that would be Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback from Illinois.
The thing about Witherspoon is, he's a big hitter. Everybody says he's a big hitter, and he's a great cover guy. I think that's a great pick for them. Even though I pushed you into doing it, I think that they absolutely nailed it on that one. Now we move to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, what do the Raiders typically do? They typically do stupid shit. They do stuff like pick the fastest wide receiver on the board, regardless of whether he can catch or not.
Right.
Or pick the pass rusher, regardless of whether he's really all that good, or take the character guy with upside talent. So this definitely is a place where somebody like Jalen Carter could go. However, the word is out that his attitude in his interviews has been unpleasant, to say the least.
Yeah.
He showed up out of shape in games. He showed up out of shape in the national championship game. He showed up out of shape for his pro day workout. He thinks he's entitled to a top 10 pick. I think it's really marginal whether he will go there.
In my opinion, and I want to express my opinion here. In my opinion, Jalen Carter is Malik McDowell
2.0.
2.0. It's Malik McDowell waiting to happen. This is a guy that probably doesn't love the game, probably doesn't really care about the game, but he's going to like the money, and he's going to like the notoriety it gives him. So my guess is he's going to be an absolute complete bust.
Somebody once said about Russell Okung, the only thing he loves about football is getting paid.
Yeah.
So I don't think Jalen Carter's going to go here. The question is then, where do they go? Do they go running back? Do they go quarterback? Josh McDaniel is the quarterback, is the head coach there now. And I really think that they're going to do something kind of structural for their offensive line. What are you doing? Yeah. They got Jimmy Garoppolo, but how can they pass on the talent that is Anthony Richardson?
Yeah.
I
don't think they can.
I don't think they can. I think they might consider a trade back with Tennessee here, but they got Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not paying him that much. And I really do think that they go with Anthony Richardson.
Well, they're not going to pay Anthony Richardson that much because it's going to be on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
So, and he's a guy that's going to take a year or so at least to
learn.
Develop.
Jimmy Garoppolo is not a great quarterback, especially in the fourth quarter when the game and the pressure is on the line. But Richardson can learn a lot from him.
Yes.
Like, for instance, how to date porn stars in public and get. Now, I as the Seahawks, I am over the moon with this. I just got the best. I got my number one player on the board. I considered, if I was the Seahawks GM, trading up to the number one pick that the Panthers got to take this guy. I got him at 5. The Raiders got to be happy. The top 4 quarterbacks are all gone in the first 7 picks. That's pretty amazing. All right, the Atlanta Falcons are on the board. Do they want to make a trade? Do they want to?
No, they're going to draft. They're here to draft.
Okay.
They're here to draft, and the thing is this is a team that has a lot of needs. They have a lot of needs on both sides of the ball. They wouldn't be picking 8th if they didn't. But I think
Go ahead. They're saying offensive guard, offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle. Blah,
right,
blah.
which is why I think they're going to take none of those positions.
Okay.
The best player on the board, the guy that I think could impact their offense in the most positive way, is Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas. I think he's definitely a top 10 talent. You have to think a bit about guys like Saquon Barkley, who, was drafted 3rd. And I think,
where is he on here on the consensus big board? Robinson.
Don't.
There he is. He's 5 on the consensus big board.
Right. And you're getting him at 8.
Some people who I like and trust their judgment said he's the number 1 player in this draft. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So my pick for them is Bijan Robinson. I think he will add another dimension to their offense. I think he will help them get better, faster than on almost any other player that's left on this board right now.
They have, I don't disagree with that pick at all. Now that, they have a wide receiver that they got last year, not Waddle. What was the guy that they got? They have the tight end.
Drake London.
They have the tight end they got 2 years ago. They took the quarterback from Cincinnati last year, who they like. Why is his name escaping me?
The corner from Cincinnati.
No, the quarterback from Cincinnati. Yeah, anyway. So they, I think they're good. All right. Chicago Bears.
I can't think of his name either because Mike and I,
we got this thing.
We're older.
Brain problem. All right. So now we're sitting here at number 9 with the Chicago Bears. We've traded out of number 1. It would be nice to trade out of here, but who's going to trade up and what are they going to trade up for? I don't see anybody trading up to this spot. I don't see the Bears doing much of anything in that department. So, I think they're stuck at number 9. I think they take the best player. Now, what do they need? They need pass rushers. They need offensive linemen. They need corners. They need safeties. Their defense is weak, but they have done very little to give Justin Fields weapons.
Okay.
They've done very little to protect him. I think they would have taken Bijan Robinson if he lasted, but they do have 3 second-round picks coming up where they can stack a lot of that stuff.
2 seconds and a 3rd.
Yeah. Well, that's a second. 64 is still a second.
No, that's a 3rd because there's 1 pick. The Miami Dolphins.
1 pick is missing. Okay. All right. Well, at any rate, they're going to take a building block, a base guy, a guy that can really help them here at this pick. I think they're going to take Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, to solidify the protection for Justin Fields. I think he's a building block piece. Okay. Now, this is an interesting spot where a certain person might go to a team that can afford it. The Philadelphia Eagles made it to the Super Bowl last year. They have 2 first-round picks. They have 30 and 10. 10 is a bonus pick that they got from, I think, Houston. I don't know who they got it from. They have not that many picks, but they've got 2 firsts, a second, and a third that they can rebuild their roster. They lost some safeties. But nobody's taking a safety in the first round top 10.
No, I think this is actually a pretty easy pick, and that is that.
And by the way, they got ripped off in the Super Bowl. They deserved a chance. They
deserved a chance to try to
win that game,
yeah.
and that holding call was epic bullshit.
The holding call should never have been made. The
NFL wants to make Patrick Mahomes the new GOAT. They want to erase Tom Brady as the GOAT. They want him to have a mulatto GOAT. There's all kinds of reasons going on, and that game. I believe that the outcome of that game was decided in New York, at NFL headquarters.
I agree.
All right, Eagles are up.
I think the pick here is fairly simple. The Eagles do have assistants they've hired that have worked with this guy before in college. I think they know what motivates him. I think they see him as a big risk. He's a high risk but high reward kind of guy. We've talked about him already. I wouldn't touch him at this pick, but I think that this team will. And that is Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia.
Crazy.
It's crazy because they still have the number 30. They still have 3 more picks in the 2 days.
One of the ways you stay competitive when you have to rebuild your roster a little bit, as they've had to do, is you take risks on guys that have tremendous upside. And Carter certainly has talent. I question everything about him, though. Everything else about him. Okay. So where are we at now? Titans are up. If you look at the team needs for the Tennessee Titans, you get offensive tackle, center, wide receiver, offensive guard, edge. I would put quarterback in there too, but I think this is a place that another offensive lineman goes. The question is it Broderick Jones or Peter Skoronski? Skoronski's rated highly by a lot of people. I think he's overrated. I think they take Broderick Jones, even though some people think he's more of a guard than a tackle. It doesn't matter because he's an outstanding player either way.
Right.
They cut the white guy from Michigan that they used to have.
Taylor
Lewan got cut. So I think they replace him with Broderick Jones. I think it's a fairly easy pick. Now, you pick for the Tennessee Titans at number 2. They got the consensus number 1 player in the draft. Now they're sitting here at number 12 and still have a lot of needs. What are they going to do at number 12?
I think, again, the choice to me is fairly straightforward. They're still looking for impact players. They're looking for players who can affect the game. A corner does some of that. An edge and Will Anderson does a lot of that. I think what they have to do is decide who's going to be the next guy that will positively drive them forward into the next
5 years.
Next level, 5 years. So I think they're gonna take a player that no one kind of expects to go this high, but I think he will. They've already got an inside player an edge player in Will Anderson, who's a leader. They're going to take another leader, and I think that is Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback from Penn State.
Wow. So he's a 6'2" corner. Okay.
Yeah.
So they can bookend him with Sauce Gardner, who was good last year, but he won the Defensive Rookie of the Year over Tariq Woolen, which is a complete joke. So I'm sorry, we're not talking Jets. We're talking Texas. Yeah. Sorry. But anyway, you're right. Yeah. Okay, Joey Porter, quarterback. All right, interesting. They went defense twice. So I'm completely screwed up on that. Mm-hmm. I was already thinking ahead to the next pick, which is the Jets. And, the Jets could do a couple things here. If you look at the Jets team needs, it's listed as offensive line, edge, and quarterback. They do have just a few picks, but they have 2 second-rounders. There's a lot of good edge guys, defensive linemen in the second rounds. But there's a guy here who I can't believe he's lasted this long, but I understand why. He's a tall inside pass rusher type. He's from Clemson. I think they can pair him up with Jermaine Johnson, who they drafted last year and didn't have that great a year, but I really think has a lot of high value qualities. I'm going to put Miles Murphy in there.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. If we hadn't taken Will Anderson, if Texans hadn't taken Will Anderson at 2, I think Miles Murphy would have been the guy at 12. Now the Patriots. So the Patriots are a team that, let's be honest, they keep you guessing all the time. They do things nobody expects them to do.
Right.
They surprise you by trading up. They surprise you by not trading. They surprise you by trading down. They do a lot of different things. At number 14, I think we're going to get a pick. We haven't had any trades today yet.
No, because I don't see any compelling names to come up and get.
So. But I think the surprise pick here is a wide receiver named Jackson Smith in whatever.
Najigba.
Yeah, Najigba in whatever his name
Najigba.
is. Because he's a very athletic player. They say he's better than the two guys who were drafted last year. The guy from the Jets, what was his name? This is getting really bad.
This
is Mike and I.
Garrett.
Garrett. Yeah, whatever. He's better than the guys who were drafted last year. Two of those guys. I think he gives them a breakout player that they don't currently have in their roster, and he puts Mac Jones on the spot for.
And you look, they have a whole ton of picks here,
and
so they can find guys to rush the passer and so forth later.
Yeah, and they're very well spread out as well.
No, I don't think this is a bad pick at all. He's definitely a Patriots kind of player. The thing about him is that Rob Staten said, look, the Seahawks have never drafted a receiver that ran slower than a 4.4 40. He ran a 4.5 40, almost a 4.6.
Right.
Yeah. But he runs great patterns. He catches everything within his reach. You gonna listen to me, or you gonna?
Yeah,
You gonna listen to me?
Yes.
God. But what an idiot. He's a good guy. He's a good player, and Jerry Rice ran a 4.7 40, which is why he slid a little bit to the 49ers. So I think it's a really good pick for them. All right, now we're looking at the Green Bay Packers, and they got a few picks. They got 15, 45, 78. They got kind of a standard pile of picks here. And the question is, what do they really need? Well, the impact guys are the guys that rush the passer, stop the passing game, or that are going to catch passes. Now, the problem is that there are no wide receivers really worth this pick. But when you're moving to a younger quarterback, you're going to Jordan Love. It makes a lot of sense to me that they would go to a tight end. And I think they're going to jump up here at tight end. They're going to jump ahead of everybody else, and they are going to take a really good quality finished product. I think they go with Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah, to get Jordan Love.
It's between him and Michael Mayer for sure.
Target.
And that's a surprising pick. To me, I think this next pick with Washington is kind of a no-brainer. There's a guy who's fallen down the board a bit, and now he's available in the mid-teens as opposed to the top 10. He's a cover guy. He's a cornerback, and his name's Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. I think he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to give them the ability to make plays in their defensive backfield, which I don't think they currently have.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers are in best athlete available mode. They don't have a whole lot of picks. I think at this point, they're going to take somebody who either rushes the passer or blocks guys who rush the passer. They have a young quarterback they're trying to build around. This guy has slid a little bit more than people thought. I think they take the offensive tackle, Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. All right, now we're back to the Detroit Lions. They took Devon Witherspoon at 6. They need wide receivers. They need tight ends.
They do.
What are they going to do?
They do, and there's some available talent here on the board. The only board we're looking at, by the way, seems to be this one over here. So could we get a look at the other board?
Sure. We can look at the NFL consensus big boards, guys that are out there around this pick, around 17, 18. You got Broderick Jones. He's already gone. Lucas Van Ness, Michael Mayer, the tight end who just didn't get picked. A lot of those guys. Dalton Kincaid is off the board. Some people think that he's better. And then you have the Rob Staten board, which has first-round players. All of the first-round players, I think, except Darnell White is not off. Wright is not off the table yet. Everybody else is off the board. And in the 1 to 2 range, you've got Luke Musgrave, Darnell Washington. Wide receivers, you've got Josh Downs who I haven't heard of. I'm not really sure who Josh Downs is. So
I don't either.
Don't know what they're going to do here. What do you think for the Lions?
Well, they went defense the first time around, so naturally they would normally go to the offensive side of the ball. Except I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to take another. The strength of this draft is on the defensive side of the ball. So I think they're going to go for another defensive player, and they're going to go for a guy that helps out the different level,
the defense.
There's three levels of defense. There's the line, the linebackers, and the secondary. They've already picked up a guy. Did they not at number 6?
Yes, they picked up the cornerback.
Yeah, Devon Witherspoon. I think they're going to go ahead and pick a player. They're going to call him an edge. I might call him just a linebacker, but we're going to go with Lucas Van Ness, the edge from Iowa.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick, and I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to go that direction with the next pick if they didn't. However, I think that they are going to do something a little bit shocking. They already have Vita Vea. They have a good interior player. They want to move somebody else up to pass rush with him. And I think the guy they go for is Will McDonald IV out of Iowa State, 2 Iowa guys in a row. What is impressive about Will McDonald is that, people say at the draft that Will Anderson got manhandled when he went up against Paris Johnson and some of the other offensive tackles. Will McDonald dominated those guys. I think he's the next best pass rusher. I think they're going to grab him at number 19. Seahawks on the board at number 20. Are we going to try to make a trade, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, ring, ring, ring. I think there's a trade going on here. Ring, 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 ring. Between the Seahawks at number 20 and the Buffalo Bills at number 27.
All right.
The Buffalo in the upper left-hand quarter there.
I got it. All right, so we're going to trade 20, and the Bills are going to do what?
The Bills are going to give us the 27 pick and their third-round pick, which is number 91. And they're probably going to ask for Seattle to give them another pick back, so I think we're going to give them back the 151 pick in the 5th round. And that is what we're going to propose, and let's see if we can pull this trade off.
It's not going to happen. I think it's going to be declined. Yeah, your trade was declined. Okay, let's try it again. Let's just see if we can force this. We're going to go Buffalo is going to trade with Seattle, and they're going to give up 27 and 91, as well as
Seattle's going to give them a bunch of picks because they wouldn't let Seattle. Seattle's being traded too. They have to give more stuff.
Well, yeah, Buffalo's giving 3.
No, Seattle has to give them more stuff. So,
but we're trying to make this thing. We're just trying to get this thing.
I know work. So that's why Seattle has to give them more stuff. What they're saying is 27 and 91 wasn't good enough.
Okay. Well,
I'm
so
sorry.
What would you like to propose then?
Same trade. Can we do this again? Thank you, and not screw it up this time. Okay. So 27 and their third round pick at number 91. Seattle will give up 20 and 151, and we'll give them a third round pick next year and a second round and just whatever we need to do to get this trade done. Again, you didn't listen until I was done. Okay, so let's pick it again. I said we'd give them anything we want in 2024 because that's all fake.
I think the problem is the opposite of what you think it is. In fact,
okay. You think really? They're offering 27 and 91 and 20. And you're saying we should give a bunch of other stuff?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's usually the way it works. So just try that and see what happens. Bingo. Just so we know, Mike was right. All right. So you have the Buffalo Bills now on the board at number 20. Who did they trade up for?
Well, there's some good players on the board. Some of which I think are really overrated. I think the guy that they're going to pick here is a guy that can have an immediate impact on their team. And that is Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame.
All right, they traded up to get Michael Meyer. Okay, the Chargers are on at number 21. They could use a whole lot of things. They could use a better pass rush. They could use some good, solid defensive players. I think they take Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle. Darnell Wright is a good offensive tackle. Yeah, I mean,
no, he's a good tight end.
Darnell White, I think he's an offensive tackle. Is he not?
Darnell Wright.
Yeah, tackle.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, okay. Offensive tackle. So I think what they probably do is take one of the pass rushing defensive ends. I think they go for Nolan Smith, the high character, high quality guy from Georgia, who can be a linebacker or can be many other things. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens are on the board at 22.
The Ravens are a team that loves tight ends for the Lamar Jackson thing, but the Lamar Jackson thing is really up in the air. So what's going to happen with him? I think they're going to look again and I also love edge rushers and defensive ends. I think the guy that really fits here is the defensive tackle, Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh. I see him as a Ravens type of player, a guy who can impact.
He's an inside, long-armed pass rusher.
Yeah, he is. Exactly. So a lot of guys are kind of getting passed over on the board, but I think a lot of those guys are kind of rated a little too high.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Christian Gonzalez as well. He went, but there's a lot of guys here that everybody consensus. Brian Branch, the safety, people just don't value a safety
in the first round. And I've got to say, I think Kalijah Cansey's a better pick. Now this board also has Isaiah Foskey on it at number 21. I just don't see him anywhere near that range.
Well, if you go to the consensus big board, where is Foskey? And this is basically just a aggregate of all the different major sites and stuff and what they think where players will go. And I don't know where Foskey is on this board.
There he is.
There he is. He's way down at 53. So I mean, I think that the mock draft simulator has him rated way too high. Okay, so the Vikings are up, and I think again they're looking for an impact player. They need secondary help. They really need a safety. They need to get rid of Harrison Smith, but they kept him around. They re-signed him. I think they're going to take Kelly Ringo, the big playmaking corner from Georgia. Kelly Ringo. He's a great player, great ball instincts, always around the ball, and to get him at 23 is going to be really valuable. And I think the Jags would have taken him at 24, but now the Jaguars, who made the playoffs last year with Trevor Lawrence, are up. What are they going to do?
Well, there's a lot of potential talent on the board. They're good in a lot of areas. They're getting better all the time. They have added a lot to their defense, but right now the defensive side of the ball is a little bit bare. So I think they're probably going to go to an impact player on offense. If I could see the other board for a second. Actually, show me the
Rob Staten
one, yeah. Okay. So
yeah. What are you looking for?
Okay, go back. I think probably they're going to look for an impact player on offense, and I think that's probably going to be Jordan Addison, the wide receiver from USC. A lot of people think maybe he's not that highly rated. I don't know. I think he's a guy who can certainly catch the ball.
Okay, so the Giants could use a lot of help. They are looking for corners. They're looking for offensive, defensive linemen. They just spent a whole ton of money on Doug Jones, their quarterback.
Yeah, they did.
And
a lot of money.
I think you got to get him a weapon, or you've got to get him some protection to block for him because he's not the most mobile guy out there. I think they're likely to go on the offensive side of the ball, and the guy that I'm going to shock you with, I hope, is Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama.
Wow.
Consensus number 2 running back, because Saquon...
That hurts my guys at number 26.
Saquon, really they paid him. However, he's been in the league 5 years. He's already had a catastrophic knee injury. I think that they didn't expect him to be here, but he's here, so they're going to take him to bolster that running game.
I think Saquon is definitely on the downs.
Well, now how about we flip? I'm either going to flip with the Cowboys or the Bengals because you traded down to an odd numbered pick, but you get to make the pick for the Seahawks because I made the first pick. So
okay.
What are we?
Go ahead.
How about if I'll take Dallas?
Okay.
Dallas has a lot of issues. It's really interesting that they sort of failed. They sort of failed to on defense in the second half of the season. They really had a hard time stopping. They couldn't get the pass rush going. There are some good pass rushers here. But I do kind of tend to agree with you that a wide receiver or a tight end or somebody like that might be good here. I'm going to shock everybody again. I'm going to go for the tight end out of Georgia, Darnell Washington. He's a monster. They did have to get rid of
Goddard.
Right? They got rid of one of their tight ends off the roster. Not Dallas Goedert, but another guy. I forget his name. But it will add.
We're forgetting a lot of things.
They got to get weapons for. They could have taken an offensive lineman, but they got to get weapons for Dak Prescott. And Washington, he just caught everything at the he was smooth, he was active, he caught everything. I think he's a monster. So the Seahawks are up at 27.
There's a lot of different ways the Seahawks could go. But I think what they want now after taking a quarterback in the first round is they're going to look for an impact player on defense. And assuming they keep the same style of defense, which is the 3-4, their choices would be a little bit different depending on how they looked. So going through the guys that could be defensive ends, defensive tackles, we're in that round 1 to round 2 range. And there's a guy I really like. I've had him in a bunch of my mocks.
As you look at Rob Staten's board, all of his first round defensive linemen, Will Anderson, Will McDonald, Tyree Wilson, Kalijah Cansey are all gone. So,
but I think the guy that they're going to go for is down the list a bit, but he's very talented. He's 6'5", I believe, and 288. His name is Adetomiwa
Adebawar.
Yeah, one of those names.
And I think you broke the Bengals' hearts because I think they would have loved.
I think he's a terrific athlete. He tested amazingly at the combine. He's played at Northwestern, so he does have some big school background. And I think he's a guy that can definitely be a star for your team. And he can play because of his size at 285, he can play as a defensive end. Probably on the same side as Jaron Reed, opposite of Draymond Jones.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a good player and
6'1",
explosive, 6'1", 282. But he's a kind of a tall inside 34 defensive end.
Yeah,
and can rush the passer. And I think that will really help. Now the Bengals are an interesting case because were it not for the NFL's agenda to make sure the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I think they beat the Kansas City Chiefs for the third straight time in Kansas City.
Yeah.
There was a terrible late hit call out of bounds, which didn't need to be called, which essentially handed the game to the Kansas City Chiefs. And, it was interesting because the head coach, you can lip read, he said, we'll look at one of his players and he said, it's fixed. It's fixed. He knew it was fixed, but question is, what do the Bengals really need? Well, they need help on the offensive line. They need guys who can cover. They need guys who can pass rush. They can use all kinds of things. Let's say they put cornerback, edge, offensive tackle,
guard and tight end.
Guard and tight end. I think the best tight ends are the first round tight ends are all gone. Cam Smith is a tempting guy. If you look at Rob Staten's big board, I don't think he has Cam Smith. He has him in the mid-second round, so I think that's kind of a reach.
Right.
If you look at pass rushers, Miles Murphy, Luke Van Ness, these guys are pretty good. Derek Hawley likes a lot. And then if you look at the NFL consensus big board, Cam Smith, where is Cam Smith? Because I want to take Cam Smith, but
it's Matt.
It's Nolan Smith.
No, there's
I don't know. Michael, Nolan Smith. Where's Cam Smith on here?
Cam Smith right there's past him.
Okay, so he's 33. So this is right in the range where you might take him. Sorry, we were looking at the big board there. But
I also think, though, that there's two guys on the board offensive tackle wise. And tackles can slide in to play guard depending. But you've got Darnell Wright from Tennessee, who a lot of people have talked about, and you've also got Anton Harrison, the tackle from Oklahoma. Both of those guys are rated as borderline first round. Well, we're in that borderline first round, second round range right now.
I think the smart thing to do would be to take the best player that's on your board at this time, regardless of position. And I do think that would probably be right. So I'm going to go with the offensive lineman and take Darnell Wright. Mm-hmm. Actually, I shouldn't be picking this. You should be. But now we're on to the New Orleans Saints.
The Saints, I don't think they need a lot of things. I don't think that
they got this pick for Sean Payton, by the way.
Yes, they did get this pick for Sean Payton. I don't think they're gonna waste a lot of time on taking a guy. I think they're gonna take the cornerback Cam Smith from South Carolina. He's rated 20th. I think they have needs all over the field. I think he's a big need that they could certainly fill.
Okay, so now we're back to the Eagles. The Eagles took the big risk on Jalen Carter. I think here they go for the solid guy, the guy that absolutely has really impeccable credentials. He's going to be a solid character guy. He's going to be a good player. They've already taken the defensive player, so they should go for an offensive player. However, I think they go back to the defensive side of the ball and take Trenton Simpson, the linebacker from Clemson, to help their defense. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending pretend world champions, are on the board.
That's not really a pick I saw coming. Well, what do the Chiefs need? Well, not much, supposedly, by law, by rule of not rule of law, but we
had the wrong tab sharing, so nobody saw that. But I took Trenton Simpson. Okay, so
there's a lot of potential talent and a lot of ability there. There is one guy who stands out to me, and I think he's at a position that the Chiefs have valued over the years. They gave up Frank Clark. They did recently sign as well. Not the nose tackle, the other guy, Chris Jones,
defensive tackle.
But I think they can use a refresh here, and I think the guy they're looking at has fallen a bit out of the first round. Almost is Brian Bresee, the defensive tackle from Clemson.
Yeah, not a bad pick at 31. Not a bad pick.
I think he's a good pick at 31. Yeah.
Okay, let's go a little faster, a little bit more rapid fire. Okay. Steelers back up at 32. I am going to make that pick for the Steelers. I am going to go for, they went offensive tackle the first round. I think they're going to go pass rusher, defensive end the second round. I'm going to look over on the Rob Staten board. BJ Ojolari is right there. Derek Hall is right there. Let's go to the consensus big board. Which one do we like better? BJ Ojolari, where is he? He's down at 38. Our dog is snoring.
Yes, he is.
And so I'm going to go back over to the mock draft simulator, and I am actually going to take where is he? My defensive end type that I'm looking for. Right. All right, let's go to defense. Let's go to edge. Derek Hall is the edge from Auburn. And Staten has him as a first-round pick, and I think that's a smart pick for them. Okay, Houston Texans. You made all three picks for the Houston Texans. You took Will Anderson with the first pick. You took Joey Porter, the corner, with the second pick. So two defensive players. What are we looking for here at 33?
This is the pick I believe that they trade. I believe this pick gets traded
for Trey Lance, but we have to assume at this point that it hasn't been traded.
No, I think we have to assume that the trade's going to go on. So why don't we?
Well, then the 49ers would be picking here.
That's right. So we have to conduct a trade.
Oh, great. Let's do that again. Okay, propose trade. The 49ers are going to trade with the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And Oh, shoot. Okay. So trades with 49ers. I hate the way they do this.
Yeah. So 33 is the pick. I do think the 49ers are going to have to give up a pick, but let's give them yeah, that a bunch of stuff.
Just make a ridiculous trade,
right,
and propose it.
It was still declined.
Yeah, why don't we just stick?
All right,
with,
okay.
Let's assume that the trade hasn't been made because the trade hasn't been made.
All right. All right. I need to go back and look at the offensive player board again, the Rob Staten board.
Oh, okay. We will go do that.
This is where we get into kind of a weird spot in the drafting. So let's look at
where you don't know who teams like and who they don't like.
Right. Okay. I think my decision is made. We're going to go back to the Texans, and they've taken two defensive players to this point. I think they're going to switch to the offensive side of the ball. I think they're going to go for the well, he may not be the top guy, but I think he's probably their top guy, and that would be Zay Flowers, the wide receiver from Boston College. We'll go 30
Flowers. All right, so the Cardinals got stuck at number 3. They took Tyree Wilson, the edge. I think they want to come back and go with, again, a structural guy. I think they take Dwan Jones.
What do you got against Anton Harrison?
I just like Dwan Jones better. I mean, I don't know who. Okay. Let's look at Staten's board here. Tackles. Dwan Jones, you mean? Yeah, I don't know. I just like these other guys better. So
Anton Harrison, actually.
Anton Harrison. Okay, so that's where we're at. And now it's 35. And the Colts, who took Will Levis at number 4, are up again.
I think they're going to look to strengthen the offensive line at this point. And I think the player that they're looking at will probably be John Michael Schmitz, the offensive center from Minnesota.
Okay,
so they're going to get stronger right through the middle of their offense.
Okay, so the Chargers went defense in the first round at 21. They're back up again. Or sorry, the LA Rams are up at number 36. They have needs everywhere. I mean, you go to the team needs thing, and basically everything should be on the board with the Los Angeles Rams. But
who's the top player on your board, Mike?
The top player on my board is Quentin Johnson, wide receiver from TCU. The Rams have serious cap problems. And they're moving a lot of people off the roster. They're retooling the roster. I think that they're looking long-term with this pick. And I think they have to realize that Matthew Stafford's time is limited. And I think they don't have anybody behind him. So I think this is where the risky guy, Hendon Hooker, the quarterback from Tennessee, goes. He has all the physical tools, rehabbing from a knee injury, will sit out most of this year. But I think this is a great spot for him to go, to a great team for him to go with a great coach. So there he goes.
Earlier than I would have.
All right, Seahawks are up at 37. You can make this pick if you want, and I'll make the pick at 52.
When do I get my extra pick back?
You already have it back. This is it right here.
Okay. What do the Seahawks do? I think they again look to strengthen the lines. The offensive line and the defensive line have both been very weak. This is only a 2-round mock draft, though, so we got to maximize what we're going to try to get in the 2 rounds. Here, I think they're going to take a guy that they have worked out, that they have sent out Steve Hutchinson to work out, and he is a center, and his name is Joe Tippmann. He's a center from Wisconsin, and I think he is going, again, 6'6", 313. 6'6" might be a little tall, but it would have been taller in the Russell Wilson era than it is today.
Yeah, it's interesting because the word is that the Seahawks are looking for the shorter, stouter centers because they feel like if you're tall, you don't get the leverage you should get at center. But yet they showed enough interest. They sent Steve Hutchinson to go work him out. And he has been rumored to the Seahawks. 37 is not too early to take him. So take him at 37. And that is a problem solved for the Seahawks.
It's a big problem.
It's been a problem for years. And they signed the guy from Detroit. Center Joey Evan Brown.
Finally remembered a name.
And So I think that's a good situation for them. Now we come back to the Raiders. Well, the Raiders went fairly conventional. They went with not conventional, but they went with Anthony Richardson, the big risk pick.
No,
38.
Didn't they go?
No, they went with Anthony Richardson at
you're right. They did.
at Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
So one of the things they also did is this season is they traded Darren Waller. And this is a tight end rich draft. And if you look at these guys, a lot of these guys where they're rated are fairly well down the
this is where you have to start looking at the board really by position and by player rather than by where they're ranked.
Right.
Because the rankings get further and further off.
I mean, if you know
further down.
These guys have Luke Musgrave at 54.
Right.
I think that what does Rob Staten have?
He's got him
Musgrave
in the top of the
he's got him the top part of the second.
In fact, he's got him over Dalton Kincaid and Darnell Washington.
So he's there, and if you look at the consensus big board, I'm trying to find Musgrave. He should be easy to find his name. Where is Luke Musgrave?
Right there.
So they got him at 44. So this is not any kind of a reach for them at all. And I really think that they will go with a tight end at this position. And, you got your quarterback and you got a tight end. And those are two things that Josh McDaniels uses a lot. Okay, so the Panthers are up at 39.
Who the Panthers taking the first round? We're going to refresh your
They took the top pick. They took Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama.
That's right. Okay.
So now they go, here's the thing. When teams draft quarterbacks and then they draft like defensive players in the second round, it's like you have to build around that guy, right? So, I mean, that's what I would be thinking if I was them.
So there are a couple of guys that are on this board that are probably overrated. He's too small. Quentin Johnson is a guy that's got good size, good skill. As it says, 22.1 yards average per catch. Played at TCU, a very offensive-oriented school. I think Quentin Johnson will add another dimension to their team. And I think he gives them a quarterback and a wide receiver, and I think that's a pretty good day one, day two.
Right. Now, again, the Saints do not have a lot of pick. They went defense, cornerback in the first round. But as I look at this this board, there's a lot of guys I really like here that are left, and they're defensive players. Let me see where I want to see where Rob Staten has some of these edge guys. Wow, he has Foskey way down. Way down in the fourth round. Whereas if you look at the tackles, they could use a tackle. They could always use somebody good. So I really do think, I think they might go with Anton Harrison of Oklahoma. So
okay,
right. 41, the Tennessee Titans, also known as the Houston Oilers. They took Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle, on the first. Who are they taking here in the second round?
Well, I think they have the opportunity then to take a potentially blazing, game-breaking type wide receiver. They traded one away. What's his name? Antonio Johnson, the guy.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. They traded him away.
AJ Brown. Yeah.
AJ Brown for some unfathomable reason. I think they need to replace him as an impact player on the offense. So I'm going to go with them taking wide receiver Jalen Hyatt, the big receiver from Tennessee, who is about as explosive a player as you can get. So we're going to go with Jalen Hyatt.
Tennessee to Tennessee. And I do think that if Hendon Hooker had lasted to them, they would have taken him right there. Okay, Jets are up. It's my pick now. And, again, if you look at what they did in the first round, we went back. It was Miles Murphy, the edge. That's a high value there. They could look at offensive players, but the interesting thing is that on the offensive side of the ball, there's not that much great talent here.
Right.
However, one of the problems they drafted a great running back. They drafted a running back last year, but he got injured. I think the first guy for them that I'm taking is Zach Charbonnet, the running back from UCLA. I think he catches out of the backfield. I think he gives them insurance at running back, and I think they're looking to repeat what the Seahawks did last year by taking the best running back in the draft in the second round, a guy that could be the best running back in the draft in the second round with K9. So Jets now are back up at 43 again. They've got defense. They've got offense. Who are they going to go with this back-to-back pick?
They're going to take who I think is one of the most versatile offensive linemen in this draft, most versatile players in this draft, a guy who can play probably all 5 positions on the offensive line and can give you an immediate starter at whatever position he plays at. Probably I would think he would start at guard, but you never know. I think they're going to go with Cody Mock, the offensive tackle from North Dakota State. Everybody loved the guy at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's a good bet to be a Jet. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so we're back to the Atlanta Falcons. They went offense in the first round. I think they go defense here. I think they're kind of shocked and surprised to see guys like B.J. Ojulari and Maisie Smith still on the board. I think they could go with the edge guy, but I really think a big defensive tackle like Maisie Smith really adds a lot to their defensive line. Packers are up at 45.
Well, the Packers are always tough to pick for. In the first round, they went with Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, but they do have a pretty good assortment of picks.
Yeah.
I think the preference here would be to go defense. If you look at the defenders, you've got one, I think, here in a corner. They take corners a lot. They also take, however, edge players. I think they might go for the edge, which is B.J. Ojulari, the top edge right now out of LSU.
Yeah.
So I have an offensive player and a defensive player. Packers always do well enough that you never really know what they're going to do. They seem to draft on both sides of the ball.
Well, that pisses off the Patriots because I think they were definitely going to take B.J. Ojulari there, but I think they go back to back on the edges and they take Isaiah Foskey.
I think that's a push of a pick.
But... Well, okay, but the reality is that while Rob Staten has him down in the 4th round, where is he? B.J. Ojulari. Or Isaiah Foskey, yeah. Down in the 4th round, if you go to the consensus big board, he's actually quite a bit higher than that. Where is Foskey?
There he is. Right there, 53.
At 53. Now, another guy that's really nice here is Adebawar, but he's already gone.
Yes, we already took him.
So we're going to go back to the board and take Isaiah Foskey as an edge guy. They do need a pass rusher. So the Redskins are up at 47.
They are. I think the Redskins at this point start looking towards the defense again. They took Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback, with the first pick. They got a 67 and a 97 pick later today on the second day. There's a good player here on the board that's still been hanging as the first safety off the board, and that's Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a
consensus first round
pick, but safeties just aren't that valuable anymore. But at 47, I think they're getting a steal, and I think that they select finally Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama.
Yeah, I'm sick of looking at his name, actually. Yeah. So next up are the Lions. The Lions have already had a couple of picks, Devon Witherspoon and Lucas Van Ness. They went on the defensive side of the ball. They also could use a little help on the offensive side of the ball. I like a lot of the tight ends, but a lot of them have already gone off the board. I mean, now we're looking at Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta. The wide receivers are a little bit picked clean. The top 2-3 running backs are gone. So I think what we should look at really is you got offensive tackle, offensive guard, or offensive center. I think the way to go for them is Cyrus Torrence, the offensive guard from Florida. I think that they get an interior offensive lineman.
A lot of people think of Cyrus Torrence as just a guy who's big. They don't know that he's a talent. They know that he's a big player.
Yeah.
So,
all right, the Steelers are up. They've gone offensive tackle at 17 and edge at 32. Where do they go at 49 with their second round pick?
I think again, this is a team that values value, and they find valuable players, guys who can contribute. 6'2", 205 pounds for Deonte Banks. Again, another guy that was projected to be a first-round player. I think he goes to the Steelers, and I think he makes them a better football team right away.
Okay, now we're up with Tampa Bay at 50. The Buccaneers have already made one pick. They got Will McDonald, the edge out of Iowa State. I think now you come back with another kind of base building block, but there are a lot of guys that could really be impact players here. I think that they look for an interior anchor on the defense. I think they go with Siaki Ika from Baylor at 50. They pair him up with Vita Vea. Yeah, but they already have Vita Vea, but now they have two guys.
But don't they play a 3-4 with the...
They have two guys that they can play, because some people think that Vita Vea can play over in the 3-tech. So I think what you have is you have a guy to succeed, Vita Vea, and you can let him go the next time he cycles up for a contract. Okay, Miami Dolphins, their first pick on the day at number 51. What are they looking for?
Which way do they go? What do they do? We know they've got the quarterbacks. We got the wide receiver. They do have, don't they have the guy from the UW?
Yeah, they have decent running back. Not
decent running backs.
But yeah.
I think there's some players on here that look pretty good, but I think they need to go on defense. And I think they're going to look for a defensive player, an impact player. Keon White is a Georgia Tech edge. Again, a 6'4", 285 guy. He is, as his advanced age, he's a little bit older. He's like 23 or 24 years old. But that means I think he's going to be a plug-and-play type player when he comes to the NFL. I think he's going to be ready to go. So I think they're going to select Keon White, the edge from Georgia Tech, which probably breaks. If I was picking as a Seahawks guy, it would break my heart.
Yeah. Okay, Seahawks are up. We've taken C.J. Stroud in the first round. Over the moon on that pick. We've taken Adebawore in the second round as our edge guy, defensive end type. And we took in the third round at 37. We took Joe Tippmann, the center. I think we filled every need at this point. What am I looking for? I'm again going to go defense here because defense is my biggest need. We have a couple of linebackers that are good players, but Bobby Wagner and the guy that we signed. But we are going to go with we're going to go with
defensive tackle. Wait. Go to defensive tackle. Well, 65 is a good player. 106 is a good player,
but I think we go with the linebacker. We have two choices. We have Noah Sewell, the linebacker from Oregon, who just keeps tumbling down boards. So there must be some problem there. Ivan Pace Jr. is a violent hitter, a violent linebacker.
How big is he?
He's like 220. He can step into the Bobby Wagner, 231, can step into the Bobby Wagner role in a year.
Before we make the pick, though, the thing is that I think about this pick. I think this would be better as a third round pick, but I think that, but we're not doing a third round. I think that for linebacker, they have Devin Bush, they have Bobby Wagner back, and they have Jordan Brooks coming back at some point. So do I think linebacker is a need? I don't think it's a need, but I think not in the first 2 days. I think it's more like a day 3.
But out of the linebacker group,
but it's not a deep group.
We don't pick again until 83, I don't think. So
yeah.
None of the guys there are guys that I like. The guys that I like are Ivan Pace, Noah Sewell, Diane Henley. I know they've talked to Henry Tuoto. I think all those guys are gone by the time we pick at 83. I'm not taking the risk. Okay. Ivan Pace is violent. He's athletic. He's explosive. And Jordan Brooks is going to be off this roster next year. I think there's a good chance that Bobby Wagner doesn't come back. So I think this is a guy you pick now to use later.
Okay.
Chicago Bears are now up at number 53, and you've taken the offensive tackle, Paris Johnson Jr. Now you're starting to get the benefits of your of the trade that you made out of the first round. You'll get them mostly next year. But.
Now there's guys here that I like, but there's a guy here that stands out to me as a Bears kind of player, and that would be Jack Campbell, a linebacker from Iowa. Very productive, 6'4", 249. He's just a big monster guy, a hitter, and I think that's the guy that they're going to end up taking.
Okay, another solid defensive player. Absolutely a good move for them. Chargers have made 2 picks so far. Or just one. They've taken Nolan Smith. Okay, so they have a chance now to take another offensive or defensive player. I think the best player left is going to be Luke Weipler, the center from Ohio State. Wow. They're going to solidify that offensive line. Okay. And now we're back to the Lions, who've had a really interesting draft. Devon Weatherspoon, Lucas Van Ness, Osiris Torrance, defense, offense. What do they do at 55?
Well, that's a good question. At 55, there are some options here. Look, there's guys. Josh Downs, I just don't know that much about. He's 5'8", so I wouldn't go with him anywhere. Emmanuel Forbes is rated pretty highly, but I think they've already taken. Did they already take a?
No, go back and click on their logo, and they basically just got the.
Yeah, he's like a cornerback, Devin Witherspoon already.
Yeah,
so it's not gonna be cornerback. I think possibly they're going to look for an offensive line player, and at that point, because they're taking an edge, they're taking a guard. Wow, not easy, but I think they're probably going to go with an impact player on the offensive line, and that's going to be Steve Avila, the offensive guard from TCU.
All right, Steve Avila, the offensive guard from TCU. Okay, Jaguars are up. They made one pick. They took Jordan Addison, the wide receiver. I think they do need to keep feeding the offense. However, Emmanuel Forbes is a really good player. There's not that many great wide receivers in this class. There are some great tight ends, however, and I think they're going to take a tight end here, Sam Laporta, to have a guy that Trevor Lawrence can feed the ball to. Okay, New York Giants are up. I picked for them first. They took Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama. They do need some help on defense. What are they going to do?
They do need help on defense. This would probably be a good choice, a good place to go with Kansas State's Felix Anudike-Uzomah. He's 6'4", 255. He's an impact edge guy, and he gives you some backup behind the guy they took last year, Kayvon Thibodeau. The other guy they might think about, however, is DJ Turner, who's a Michigan corner, 5'11". He's a good player. Maybe I think they go with DJ Turner, the Michigan cornerback.
All right, back to the Dallas Cowboys again. In the first round, they took Darnell Washington, the big impact tight end. That's what Jerry Jones likes to do. He likes to make impact picks. They also need corners. They also need a little help in the pass rush. If we go to the defense and look at the edges, I think the guy who's left is Felix Anudike-Uzomah. So that's the guy that I think they're going to pick to help get that pass rush going that failed them in the second half of the season last year.
Right.
Okay, Buffalo Bills are up. Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, traded up with the Seahawks to take him.
That's right. So, a lot of these guys I look at, honestly, Josh Downs, again, 5'8". Emmanuel Forbes, good-sized player, 6 feet tall, played at Mississippi State. Drew Sanders, I've seen this guy, and honestly, he looks like a safety, not a linebacker to me. So I think he's a poor pick. Cedric Tillman is another guy that could certainly be an impact player. But they've already taken a tight end. Do they go with another offensive or defensive play? So probably they select another edge or a corner. And I think they do pick the corner, but the corner I think they pick is Julius Brents, the cornerback from Kansas State.
Okay. Bengals are up. I get to pick for the Bengals. I think
twice.
I think I've done that twice. They picked Darnell White, the offensive tackle from where was he from? Tennessee. But now I think they need to look again at the defensive side. I think Emmanuel Forbes is an excellent corner. Let's go over to Rob Staten's board and look at the corners. Cam Smith, Darius Rush.
Right there. He's in the third.
Third rounder. I think what we're going to do is go back to the defense, go to the corners, and look at Darius Rush, the corner, 6'1" corner from South Carolina. They're going to take a corner. They got offensive line. They went cornerback. Pretty good situation for them. Chicago Bears are up at 61. They got Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive tackle. Jack Campbell, the linebacker from Iowa. You just took him for them. They got 61. Who are they going to take at 61? Oh, sorry. Go to all.
Yeah. I know how to use the board. Right. I think they need an impact offensive player, and I think Cedric Tillman, 6'3", 213, is what happened there? I didn't take him. Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver from Tennessee.
Yeah, not a bad pick at this point.
Will be a good impact.
Here's a pick. The Philadelphia Eagles are sitting there at 62. They don't have a lot of picks left. They might look to trade out of this pick, but they've already taken Jalen Carter, Trenton Simpson. The best player on the board that I would take at this point is a guy they're not going to take because they already took a defensive tackle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose a trade. Let's see if we can make a trade here. I'm going to propose a trade between the NFC, the Eagles, and they trade with the Seahawks are going to come up, and we're going to try to make a reasonable trade. They're going to trade 62 for 83 and 123 on the Seahawks board. Let's see if we can make that work.
Better throw in some 2024 picks just to make it.
Well, okay. Let's see if the Eagles accept this trade or not. My trade was declined. My trade possibly be declined. Let's try it one more time.
What's crazy here is that don't the Eagles pick pretty quickly after? No, it's the Bears that pick.
Yeah, that's just like crazy. Sometimes it does weird things like it's like the
just give them 83 and 91 since you're not going to make the third round pick anyway, and then throw in a bunch of other stuff.
Well, the thing is, I think I might have given them too much.
Okay.
That might have been the problem.
Okay.
So let's see how it adds up. Trade was again declined. Okay, we're gonna give it one more try, and then we're gonna be done with it.
Try it with the Seahawks connecting with the Eagles this time.
Okay, the Seahawks trade with the Eagles,
who have the best logo in football, by the way.
Yeah. Seahawks are gonna trade 83,
91,
154 for 62. Okay, that trade was accepted. Back to the sim. I'm taking the defensive tackle from Florida that I need, Gervon Dexter. 6'6".
Really, you're not taking Keanu Benton?
No, I'm taking Gervon Dexter.
Why? Keanu Benton is a nose tackle.
Okay, that's fine. We
can play nose.
This guy's 6'6", 313.
Doesn't.
He's a better player.
No, actually, he's not.
Okay.
Kansas City is at number 63. I kind of want to pick for somebody else, but
you want to make a trade?
It's kind of what I was thinking.
All they've got is Brian Brisset so far, but there's pretty good corners available. They could always use more defensive backs. What are the defending champions going to do?
That's a good question. Yeah, 5'9" corners don't do anything for me.
I could be a slot guy.
Wow, not a lot of choice on this board. I'm going to go ahead and go with the wide receiver, which is another obvious pick, but since they took a defensive tackle in the first round, I think they're going to go back on the offensive side of the ball. There doesn't seem to be any running backs really in this range until Zach Evans. That's up to 87. So I think for value, they're going to have to go for a receiver, and that'll be Rashee Rice, the wide receiver.
Okay, so that's how it worked. We go to full results. Seahawks came away with C.J. Stroud, Adetomiwa, Adebawar, Joe Tippmann, Ivan Pace, Gervon Dexter. You preferred a different.
I don't agree with
you. Preferred a different defensive
picks,
tackle,
no.
but I'm coming away pretty happy with that on day one. If I make that deal, and here's the thing, I got guys that are impact players. Yeah, I've still got 4 picks left. So 123, 151, 198, and 237. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay.
And especially getting CJ Stroud falling to me. That's just amazing. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for the first and probably last 2023 Seahawk Boys NFL mock draft. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And we will talk to you later. Bye.